Here's another question from our community. If insulin drives weight, why are diabetics put on insulin?
Great friggin' question. Here's the thing. Most doctors know this. Most average people don't know this. When you have a diabetic and you put them on insulin, what happens? Do you know?
They gain weight.
Their blood sugar goes down, but they gain weight, their blood pressure goes up, and their cholesterol gets screwy. So it's like a whack-a-mole. Yes, it keeps the sugar down, but what you actually learned, and that this was a huge study, it was called the Accord study of 10,000 diabetics who were in aggressive blood pressure management. In other words, they like, let's get these people's sugar as close to normal as possible. Let's give them lots of insulin, lots of drugs. Let's drive their sugar down. And let's see how they do. And you think, oh, well, if sugar is the problem with diabetes, if they got their sugar normal, they'd be fine. Turned out the opposite was true. The lower their blood sugar, the worse they were. The more heart attacks, the more deaths. Why? Because they use a lot of insulin, and insulin makes you die. It makes you fat. It kills you. It's the worst thing when it's in excess. So if you, and I often, by the way, Drew, I see type 1 and type 1 diabetics often getting double diabetes. In other words, they have type 1, but then they get type 2. So here's how that works. Normally, you should make about 20 units of insulin, 15, 20 units of insulin a day to manage your blood sugar. That's the average person. What happens if you're a diabetic type 1, if you, let's say you want to eat cake and ice cream and cookies and whatever, you can do it and you can keep your blood sugar normal, but you need to give yourself more insulin. And so they keep giving themselves more and more insulin, and they get insulin resistant, which means they need more and more insulin just to keep their sugar normal. So they might be using 50, 60, 100 units of insulin. That's terrible. So you can get double diabetes by eating too much crap and using insulin to manage your blood sugar. So the key is to keep your blood sugar as low as possible. And a friend of mine is a type 1 diabetic, and she uses a ketogenic diet, and she basically uses 1 or 2 units of insulin a day, which is like ridiculously low, because if you eat fat, you don't need insulin. And that's why ketogenic diets work so well for type 2 diabetes, where they cure 60% of people, or 95% or 100% get off the main medication, over 90% get off their insulin or reduce it dramatically. It leads to the most weight loss of any study I've ever seen, which is about 12%, which doesn't sound like a lot, but most studies, if you get 5%, everybody's jumping up and down and super happy. So it's more than double what you see with a normal weight loss study.
Right. And there's a way to do cleaner versions of keto, and there's ways to do dirty versions. We're obviously talking about the cleaner ones that are plant forward, plant rich at the base of it to get all that. We don't want to just be eating bacon all day and
olive oil, avocados, nuts and seeds.
Yes, there's plenty of ways to do keto in a clean way.